Anchovies feed the world, and most people have no clue. Not a figure of speech, not a quirky fact, a real industrial-scale truth. These tiny fish aren't just food, they're fuel. They power agriculture, drive international trade, and prop up billion-dollar tech systems that raise your meat, grow your crops, and fill your supplements. And get this, over 6 million tons of them move across oceans every single year. Forget what you thought you knew. In the next few minutes, you'll uncover how one of the smallest fish became one of the most important forces behind what the world eats, grows, and exports. Let's paint a picture. It's just before dawn off the coast of Peru. The ocean's quiet, but not really. Beneath the surface, hundreds of thousands of anchovies are moving together like a single organism, pulsing through the Humboldt Current. The fishermen? They're not guessing where to look. Nope. They've got sonar tech lighting up their screens like a sci-fi movie. That's the first step in a process that happens fast, almost faster than most people can imagine. Once a mass shoal is spotted, there's zero time to waste. These aren't leisurely fishing trips. It's go time. The crew swings into motion with precision. Seine nets, massive circular traps that wrap around the school, get dropped in with practiced speed. Within just a few hours, entire shoals are corralled, hauled up, and transferred onto boats. It's a high-stakes dance between man, machine, and nature. Why the rush? Simple. Anchovies are fragile. We're talking minutes before spoilage sets in if they're not cooled down. The clock's always ticking. As soon as the catch hits the deck, the real hustle begins. Immediate chilling. That's the rule. Onboard refrigeration systems, using ice slurries and advanced cooling tech, kick into gear. From there, the fish are sorted and sent to coastal processing plants faster than most folks get through their morning emails. Timing is everything. There's no second chance here. Once the anchovies start to break down, the quality tanks, and so does their value, whether it's destined for your plate or for agriculture-based applications like Fishmeal. Now, once they hit those processing plants, it's a fork in the road. Some anchovies are headed straight for human consumption. These ones are the prettiest, whole, silver, and spotless. They get preserved in oil, salt-packed, or even filleted and frozen. You'll find them eventually on pizzas, pasta dishes, or charcuterie boards around the world. But let's be honest, that's the minority. The real volume, we're talking millions of tons, is processed into fish meal and fish oil. And that trip is a whole other beast. First, the anchovies are cooked, then pressed to separate solids from oils. The solids get dried and ground into powder, the fish meal. The oil is separated, refined, and packed. These byproducts are liquid gold for the agriculture industry. In fact, fish meal is a cornerstone in feeding livestock, poultry, and especially aquaculture. Basically, the tech-driven, protein-powered backbone of global food production. And the fish oil? That stuff's prized in both human supplements and agriculture tech for its rich omega-3 content. Once processed, everything's packed into large-scale transport. Bulk carriers, container ships, sometimes rail cars depending on the destination. And we're not just talking about a few trucks heading to a local port. We're talking massive global logistics. These shipments feed agricultural ecosystems all over, from shrimp farms in Southeast Asia to poultry operations in Europe, and even advanced agroforestry projects where sustainable nutrient cycles are king. The supply chain here is no joke. It's tight, tech-driven, and optimized to within an inch of its life. And here's where it gets interesting. The logistical decisions are just as strategic as the harvesting. The type of transport chosen depends on things like freshness windows, export quotas, and destination regulations. It's not unusual to see containerized fish meal heading toward high-tech European agri-hubs, while bulk shipments move through massive ports like Rotterdam or Shanghai. Each route's chosen to minimize delays, preserve quality, and of course, maximize value. So while the image of fishermen hauling in nets at sea might feel old school, the reality couldn't be more high-tech. We're talking cutting-edge sonar, real-time GPS tracking, instant data uplinks, all shaping how fast and effectively these anchovies move from ocean to processing plant to international market. It's not just fishing anymore. It's an optimized system fueled by agricultural demand and technological precision. What's fascinating is how this system blends tradition and innovation. Many fishing families in Peru have been doing this for generations, but now they're doing it with tools their grandfathers never dreamed of. Satellite-assisted navigation, blockchain-backed supply chain verification, temperature-controlled logistics, these things are rewriting the rulebook while keeping the same rhythm alive. And guess what? This whole ecosystem, humming with energy and urgency, doesn't come without complications. Remember how I said the anchovy starts spoiling within minutes? That's not the only thing that makes this process a race against time. Because beneath all this speed and precision, there's a very real set of challenges constantly lurking, from the fragility of the fish itself to the changing climate that shapes where and when they appear. But that's a story of its own, one that flips the script from what we've just explored and digs deep into the cracks of this global machine. Alright, let's get real for a moment. Harvesting anchovies sounds smooth on the surface, sonar, tech, speed, logistics, but under that polished exterior, there's a minefield of challenges that can derail everything. This isn't just about fish, it's about timing, location, climate chaos, and, yep, politics. Welcome to the gritty underbelly of the anchovy world. First up, perishability. Most people have no idea how delicate these little fish are. Anchovies don't just start to go bad after a few hours. We're talking minutes. The moment they leave the water, the spoilage clock starts ticking like a time bomb. It's like trying to deliver fresh strawberries across a desert with no cooler, except worse. If the chilling process is delayed, even slightly, the fish can soften, discolor, and lose the essential nutrients that make them valuable for agriculture and tech-based feed applications. That's a loss not just in money, but in months of hard work. And because anchovies are primarily used for fish meal and fish oil, ingredients that feed other systems, a bad batch doesn't just affect the fishermen, it ripples through the global supply chain. One compromised load can mess with agroforestry nutrient cycles, disrupt feed formulations in tech-enhanced aquaculture, or leave poultry producers scrambling. It's all connected. Now, let's zoom out. You know that rich vein of anchovy supply that runs along the Peruvian coast? That doesn't just happen randomly. It's all thanks to the Humboldt Current, a cool, nutrient-rich stream that hugs the coastline like a lifeline. It creates this sweet spot where anchovies thrive. But here's the kicker. It's a narrow zone. We're talking geographically tight, just a sliver of ocean that supports an entire global market. That kind of dependence, it's risky. This narrow range means boats can't just go elsewhere if things dry up. If the anchovies aren't where they're supposed to be, that's it. Game over. There's no plan B ocean. It's not like corn or soy where you can rotate crops or expand farmland. No tech in the world can manufacture more Humboldt Current. It's nature's one-lane highway, and we're all riding in the same crowded car. Now let's toss in climate variability, just for fun. Ever heard of El Niño? If not, imagine the ocean equivalent of a rogue hacker shutting down a vital system. El Niño events warm the waters, reduce nutrient upwelling, and scatter anchovy populations. They don't just cause a bad season, they can wipe out entire years of productivity. Boats sit idle, processing plants go dark, export contracts get cancelled, the whole agriculture anchovy tech ecosystem brought to its knees by a temperature shift. And here's where things start getting tense. When anchovy catches plummet, international buyers, especially those investing in traceable, certified fish meal for agriculture and tech-driven feed systems, start looking elsewhere. That leaves Peru fighting to maintain its foothold in a highly competitive global market, often while local communities face unemployment and food insecurity. It's not just about economics, it's about survival. And while nature plays one hand, the regulatory landscape deals another. Peru has strict quotas on anchovy fishing, and for good reason. The government wants to avoid the collapse of the species due to overfishing, which historically has been a real threat. But here's the twist. Those quotas can change at the drop of a hat. One season, fishermen are gearing up for a bumper harvest. The next, a new regulation slashes their allowance in half. It's like training for a marathon, only to find out the finish line's been moved 5 miles further without warning. And politics? Oh, they're always in the background. There's a constant push-pull between protecting marine ecosystems and keeping the economy afloat. Local food security adds another layer. Some voices argue that too much of the anchovy catch is exported for agriculture or tech feed when it could be used to feed Peru's own people. Others claim the fishmeal industry is what keeps entire coastal communities alive. There's no easy answer, only friction, debate, and a lot of passionate voices. Even the best tech can't untangle this web entirely. Sure, refrigeration systems have improved, real-time monitoring is better, but when governments clash, ecosystems shift, or quotas flip mid-season, no sensor or satellite can fix it. And for international buyers, these complications raise serious concerns about reliability. If your agriculture startup depends on consistent, nutrient-rich fish meal, you're not thrilled by the idea that a single El Niño could cut your supply chain off at the knees. So the anchovy supply chain isn't just a story of boats and nets. It's a complex balancing act built on a foundation that can shift with the wind, the water, or a political decision. It's one of the few global industries where agriculture, environmental tech, and marine policy intersect, sometimes smoothly, often not. And yet, in the middle of all this uncertainty, something remarkable has started to emerge. Innovators, both local and global, are reimagining how this system could work. They're building tools to outpace spoilage, platforms to track catches from sea to shipment, and strategies that turn a fragile supply into a resilient one. The challenges are real, no doubt, but the innovations? They're getting smarter every year. And just like that, we find ourselves standing on the edge of the future, where drones, satellites, and blockchain aren't just buzzwords, but real-world tools keeping the anchovy industry alive. The thing most people don't realize is how fast anchovy fishing has transformed. What used to be driven by instinct and luck is now operating on precision. The difference? Real-time data. Modern fleets aren't just looking at the water, they're tracking it from space. Satellite feeds and drones work like eyes in the sky, pinpointing where shoals are moving before the nets are even dropped. It's the kind of tech you'd expect in defense systems, not seafood. And yet, here it is, changing how food chains are fed. This isn't just about catching more fish. It's about protecting the resource while meeting global demand. Because overfishing's not just bad press, it's bad business. With better intel, crews avoid oversaturating specific zones, letting populations recover while still hitting targets. And when you're pulling in millions of tons, that matters. Not just for the ecosystem, but for the agriculture and tech-driven industries relying on every ounce of fish meal and oil that comes from those tiny fish. Once the catch hits the deck, speed is everything. Spoilage is brutal. It doesn't give you an hour to think, you've got minutes. That's why vessels now use high-efficiency chilling systems that start cooling the moment the fish hit the hold. These aren't just cold rooms, they're engineered for rapid thermal control, keeping everything uniform from top to bottom. The result? Better preservation, higher yield, and a better product for everything downstream. From livestock feed and smart agriculture setups to nutrient-dense inputs for aquaculture systems. There's been a noticeable shift in how Peru's handling the anchovies value. Historically, most of the catch was turned straight into fish meal. Useful, yes. Lucrative? Not always. But now there's a clear push to elevate more of the catch for human consumption. The kind of fillets and preserved fish that end up on gourmet menus across Europe and Asia. Doing that means higher standards, tighter processing, better sorting, and the tech to back it up. Smart vision systems scan, sort, and package fish with ridiculous accuracy, and with international buyers chasing traceable, high-quality food products, Peru's not just keeping up, it's starting to lead. And traceability is the name of the game. Blockchain has entered the scene, not as a gimmick, but as a powerful tool. Every catch, every transfer, every batch processed, logged, timestamped, and verified. It's a transparency play, sure, but also a market differentiator. Agriculture companies and feed producers want guarantees. When a bag of fish meal lands in Vietnam or Denmark, they want to know it was legally harvested, safely handled, and sustainably sourced. Now, they can. A quick scan gives them the whole story. There's something quietly revolutionary about the way AI is reshaping operations too, not in some abstract sci-fi way, in a practical, everyday counts kind of way. Predictive systems are reading temperature maps, fish movement trends, even plankton levels, and telling operators where the next shoal might appear. It's actionable, and it reduces waste, saves fuel, and helps regulate the pace of harvest. That efficiency trickles into every level of the supply chain, including the agriculture sectors relying on this protein as a key input. Inside the processing plants, automation's no longer optional. With thousands of tons moving daily, human labor alone can't keep up. Machines now handle sorting, pressing, drying, packaging, all monitored in real time. The fish meal and fish oil that emerge aren't just bulk commodities anymore. They're precision products. Their quality measured down to fat content, moisture levels, and amino acid profiles. That makes them more valuable for the tech-enhanced agriculture world that's engineering animal diets with the same intensity you'd expect from a Silicon Valley lab. Even more impressive is how this innovation isn't sidelining the local crews. It's enhancing them. You'll find lifelong fishermen checking satellite data before launching. You'll see small operators using handheld blockchain scanners to log their haul. The tech hasn't replaced their experience, it's extended it. And that balance of tradition and modernization is exactly why this industry still works. What it comes down to is trust. When the product crosses oceans, changes hands, and feeds systems half a world away, that trust has to be built into every step. From sea to feed trough, or plate, or capsule, no one wants uncertainty. The tools being used now don't just make the process faster or more efficient, they make it accountable. And while the machinery hums, the data flows, and the networks buzz, this story still has another side. Because tech, for all its brilliance, can't control the bigger forces at play. And even the best system has to brace for the unexpected. So now you know, the humble anchovy isn't just a fish. It's a global force moving silently beneath the surface of everything from agriculture to tech. Kind of changes the way you look at a can of fish, doesn't it? What surprised you the most? The sheer scale, the tech behind it, or how deeply it ties into what we eat every day? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We actually read them. And if this opened your eyes, imagine what else we've got coming. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and stick around. The next video on your screen is already waiting to show you more.